Hi everyone, welcome to the TriEssence martial art channel. Before I start with today's video, I'd like just to say that this video isn't directly related to Chinese martial art. So if that's what you are here for, then probably you shouldn't watch this video. Instead, I'm going to take this opportunity to fill my viewers in on what has been happening in my life and why I hadn't been uploading new videos to my channel for the past couple of months. So if you have been following my channel, you would know that about 5 months ago, I flew to Cape Town, another city in South Africa, and I joined the production of HBO Max series called Warrior, and we were shooting season 3. So when I first got there, I was still able to make a video or two here and there. But eventually work got really busy and I couldn't actually make more videos. So for that, I do sincerely apologize for the absence of new content, especially to my Patreon supporters who are supporting me monthly and I was unable to provide regular new content. So for that, I am really sorry. But unfortunately, life just got a bit hectic. Now I've talked about this briefly in my Patreon exclusive videos. So my Patreon supporters probably already know this, but just bear with me. I'm going to quickly just run through it for the rest of the viewers. So basically I started off working on Warriors when everything was fine, and then up to a certain point I got sick, not COVID, just regular cold, flu and a bit of a fever. But it so happened that during that week we were doing an entire week of night shoot. That means we started the shoot around 4:30 in the afternoon and we wrap about 5:30 in the morning, and it was in a very far location. So when I drive back to where I'm staying, it's already around 6:30 or usually 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I had to sleep and then wake up again and get back to work. And I was sick. I was literally eating painkillers the whole time when I'm at work, just so that I don't shiver and get joint ache and severe pain. So that was a very horrible week, and I was the only one from my department present at that particular set. We're shooting different sets simultaneously, so I was the only one from my department at that set during that time. So I couldn't take sick leave, I just have to basically endure it. So that week, and it was a full week of night shoot, so that week was really hectic, and afterwards it took me a while to actually recover to my full health, to catch up on my sleep. All at the same time, I'm still studying full time online with Australian University with psychology, which obviously requires lectures, assignments, and eventually exams. So that whole thing was just too much for me to handle at the same time I'm still able to make videos. And after that, the shooting schedule got even more hectic because as we go towards the end of the shoot, they start to rush more and more. We start to overtime even more, and a lot of things need to be done that wasn't done. So we actually end up working a lot more than in the beginning. In the beginning, was a lot more relaxed compared to the end. In fact, the last week of the shoot, we literally worked 7 days. We didn't even get a day off. Usually work 5 days and get 2 days off. But the last week we worked full on 7 days. And we had to travel to a remote location that's 1.5 hour drive from where I was staying. So yeah, needless to say, it was a pretty hectic experience. It was very fun and interesting, but also very hectic and tiring. And all at the same time, I had to keep up with my full-time study, which is why after a while I just couldn't keep making new videos on my channel. And production has been wrapped and I came back to my home in Pretoria, but as I came back I had to face a whole week of examination. So I had to study really hard. I didn't really get much time to study on the last few weeks of production. So I had to study really hard and I had to write exams. And finally now, work and exam are both behind me. A new semester has started for my study, but obviously in the beginning of the semester it's a lot easier. So hopefully from now onwards, I'll be able to provide new content on a regular basis again. Next, I'm going to just briefly talk about my involvement with the TV series of Warrior Season 3. So initially I was hired to sign on as the Mandarin translator for the extras department. So what that means is we have the entire department that organizes extras, right, for the TV series. And a lot of them are Chinese people, and some of them don't actually speak English. I was there as a Mandarin translator. 大家站的位置还有动作都合格，那么才可以拍。所以呢，我现在天亮的时候就开始排练，一直练到天黑，到他们准备觉得说差不多大家都可以才会拍，只能站两次，所以一定要能够把这东西做到位。他们要求的就是说，首先呢，它那边会有一条线，过那条线就会危险，它这是真的炸掉。所以呢，一定要确保如果你做什么，不要过那个界限。界限那边会有一些障碍，没有人的。And at the same time, I also do extras coordinator work. So that means that I get there early in the morning to organize all the extras, send them in, make sure that they go to wardrobe, make sure they have breakfast, make sure they have lunch, make sure they go to makeup, make sure they are where they need to be at any given time of the day, in the holding stand or on set, and any issues that they have, whether the production has about them or they have issues with production. I'm one of the people that they will speak to, and I'll have to resolve the issue. There's a couple of us in the extras department, so that's my other job besides being a manual translator. I'm also one of the extras coordinator. But as I was working there every day, I started to spot that there are some irregularities and spelling mistakes with the Chinese signage that they have on the set. So unfortunately, I can't show you any pictures of the set because it is still confidential until the season 3 series comes out. But so basically, you can imagine that they built an entire set of Chinatown, and obviously, if you have seen Warriors in previous seasons, you will know what I'm talking about. But some of these signage are incorrect. Obviously, the art department and the prop department are all foreigners; they're not Chinese. And unfortunately, the Chinese consultant that they hired weren't really up to the job. So, for example, the one time where I spotted a signage where the one character was in simplified Chinese. Now, the reason that is a problem is because this show was set in around the 1800s. During that time, there were no simplified Chinese. Right? Simplified Chinese was something that was invented after the People's Republic of China was founded. Well, before that, during the Republic era, there were certain simplified characters that people were starting to use already. Simplified Chinese was not an entire writing system that is established at the point. And obviously, even though the Republic time, there are some word characters that has been simplified. The people who actually immigrated to America in the 1800s actually predate the Republic era, so they would not have used the simplified version of the characters. So anytime that the simplified character showing on the end of the signage on the building, that is a very serious cultural mistake. Now, obviously, for most of the foreign viewers, in America and overseas, they're not going to be able to pick up these mistakes. However, I do believe that as a serious show, a show that takes itself seriously, they shouldn't make cultural mistakes like this. And fortunately, the production side, the director, the assistant director, and the producers, they do fully agree with me. So every time I spot one of these things, they basically make sure that it is changed right away before it becomes a mistake that get caught on camera. Initially, it was unofficial, but eventually I actually became the official language consultant for season 3. Every time they have some new Chinese writing, basically they ask me to have a look to make sure that it is genuine. And I have spotted at least 7 or 8 different mistakes, whether it's simplified Chinese writing or the simplified writing were converted to traditional writing, but it was a wrong character. For example, there was one instance where it was a barber shop, so cutting hair in Chinese is called 理发. Now, in simplified Chinese, the character 发, which means hair, is the same as the character 发, which means to issue. However, in traditional character, hair and issue are 2 completely separate characters. Now, the person that will give advices to the prop and art department clearly does not actually read traditional characters. So he wrote down the simplified character, which is 发, and then looked up what its counterpart is in traditional character without realizing that there are actually 2 potential characters in traditional, one meaning hair, one meaning to issue. And therefore he chose the wrong one, and therefore, so as a result, it was a barber shop that says cut issue rather than cut hair. So there's a couple of these mistakes that I picked up. There was also mistakes where the writing was printed on a thin piece of paper and the paper was sticked other way around. Because the paper was so thin, it was see-through. So the art department couldn't tell which side was the correct side because naturally they don't actually read Chinese. There are also times like this where a stroke is missing on the character, or when the entire signage has been hung upside down. Just to clarify, this is not in any way criticizing the art department because, as I mentioned, they're all non-Chinese speakers and therefore cannot be expected to know how to hunt these characters properly. I'm just very grateful that I was able to lend my expertise to production to avoid these language mistakes being caught on camera. And I also should commemorate production for taking these things seriously, despite most of its target audience will not be able to tell the difference because it's targeted at the Western audience that are not actually native Mandarin speakers. There was also a time where the director needed Chinese opera lyrics that were sung during the shoot to be translated into English to actually know what they are singing. That job also came to me. Or the one time where they needed to find the right Chinese character in a printing press shop. They need the one particular character to reflect the scene and the plot that they are trying to portray. So basically anything that related to Mandarin Chinese, with its language or writing, I became the person that they come for consulting. Which for me was very fortunate because that got me more involved with production, and the more I get involved, the more fun it is. I mean, I still get paid the same salary, it's not like I get paid extra, but I do enjoy the fact that I was able to provide more value to production while I was working there. There were also certain cultural issues. For example, in this one wedding scene, they had an extra dressed as a monk because they didn't actually assume that since in a Western wedding you have priest, in the Chinese wedding there must be a monk. But unbeknown to them, in the Chinese culture, a monk is considered as bad luck because they are invited to funerals to chant and pray for the reincarnation of the dead people. As a result, they are not invited to wedding. Because wedding and funeral in Chinese culture are seen as very different, exact opposite. So the people that are invited to perform the service in a funeral will not be invited to a wedding as it will bring bad luck. So there are also these minor cultural issues that they weren't aware of, that I was able to provide my opinion and tell them that they shouldn't do that because that's not how Chinese people would have done things with this back in the days or even today. So that was basically my unofficial job, which is the language and cultural consultant. And on top of that, on certain days where they needed featured extra, I basically also fill in as featured extra. Basically that's just someone who is featured in front of camera prominently, but I don't have dialogue, which I'm still extra and not a cost. So there were a couple of scenes where I was a featured extra, and most excitingly was the fact that I did 3 days of stunt. Now I've always wanted to do stunt work on Warrior, but stunt is kind of difficult to go in because they tend to hire people that they have already worked with. They are kind of skeptical on hiring new people. So it kind of took me 3 seasons to really get to know them and warm up to them. So in season 1, season 2, I did extras as well as action extra, basically similar to stunt, but we're in the background doing less important things. So fortunately enough, this time I was approved by the stunt department to do some actual stunt, and that was very, very exciting. I totally enjoyed it. It was great. It was very fun, and I'll definitely like to do more of that in the future. Unfortunately, I can't show you any of the videos of me doing the stunt because the show hasn't aired yet, so any footage we have is confidential until the show airs. But in due time, if you're interested, watch season 3 of Warrior, and you'll probably see me doing a very small portion of stunt. It's not a lot, only a very small clip, but it's a big step toward doing more stunt work in the future. Next, allow me to just briefly show off all the souvenirs that I did get from Warrior production while working there this time. So firstly, I got this really cool water bottle. On the one side, it basically says Warrior, and on the other side, there is a picture of Bruce Lee, and at the bottom it says "Be Water." So I think it's a pretty smart thing because it's a water bottle, and when Bruce Lee was famous for saying "Be Water, my friend." And it's got like it's got a thing that can attach to your belt. Basically, when you're on set, you put water in this and carry around. Very convenient and really stylish. I also got a Warrior badge. Not sure if you can see this clearly. It's basically a badge that just says Warrior S3, stands for season 3. This is actually pretty rare. The stunt department handed them out, but it's only a limited amount, so not everyone got. I was very fortunate to have one. So even though it's quite small, it's actually pretty rare. Not everyone in production got this. I'm very happy that I was fortunate enough to get one. And here is basically my name tag that I have to have on me at all time while I was working in production. So basically it's a picture of me that says my name, and it says extras department translator. That's my original job. And over here you see the stripe is in red and it says warrior. Now there's actually a difference. There's red, there's green, and there's yellow. So red means that I'm allowed to be on set and be where the shooting actually happens. If you have a yellow one, you're only allowed to be outside set. If you have a green one, you usually only can be in the base camp. The reason they have this coloring difference is to ensure COVID control. Basically, people that has a red tag have to be tested on a daily basis when you go to work. Have to do a COVID test. Whereas if you have a yellow tag, then you only get tested twice a week or something. Green tag has another rule. I'm not sure about the green tag. So green, yellow, and red shows how close you are to where the action happening, right? How close you are to the director, to the cast, to the extras, to basically everyone that is shooting there. So the closer you are to the most important core of the production, the more strict you have to be with COVID testing, so that you don't bring COVID to everyone. Imagine if one of us catches COVID, we go to set, and we spread to the director, to the main cast, or to the cameraman, to the director of photography, or whoever that's important. That's going to be pretty devastating for the production. Which is why everyone, you're only allowed to go to set if you have this red stripe, and if you do have the red stripe, you have to COVID test every day. So basically this was very important because it tells people who I am, what department I belong to, and what kind of access I have. It's also important when you go to cafeteria for lunch and breakfast, because then you look at the tag to know whether you belong there or not. Another really cool thing that I got is the entire Warrior Season 3 script that is watermarked with my name on the back, albeit it's spelled wrong. This shows that this is sent directly and intended for me, and I didn't steal somebody else's script. So yes, I do have the entire script and know the entire story and plot line, and no, I will not spoil any part of it because I do take my NDA very seriously. And next is basically a gift from my HOD, so the head of department for the extras department, to all of us that work for the extras department. We all got a very cool down jacket, right? So it's very warm in winter, so it's a great utility wear, and it's very good looking as well. And you can see that over here, basically in the front it says Warrior and Costume Department Season 3. Whereas if you look at the back, it's basically Chinese characters that says background actors casting department. I actually gave them these writings so that they can get them onto the jacket. So it's a very cool jacket. It looks very nice, and it's a very good memorabilia for participating in the extra department in season 3. And lastly, I also got the sweater that I'm wearing. And if you've seen Bruce Lee movie, you immediately recognize that this is very similar to the yellow jumpsuit that he wore in his last movie, The Game of Death. So over here again, it just says Warrior in Chinese. But what's really cool about this sweater is that in the back, if I can turn it around for you, it basically says Warrior Stunt. So this sweater is really cool because it was printed for the Warrior Season 3 Stunt department. Now the stunt souvenirs are always the most popular in production, and they do give it out to people who are not part of the stunt department. Now I know a lot of other people, even catering guys, they wear stunt shirts or caps or whatever. But personally, I don't feel like I should wear anything related to the stunt department unless I participated in doing stunts for them. Which is why I was very pleased to have gotten this sweater, because I did indeed work as a stunt for the stunt department this time, which is why I do think I deserve to wear this sweater. Next, I'm just going to show you some of the pictures that I took while working on Warrior Season 3. Now, first and foremost, here's my team for the Warrior Season 3 Extras Department. On the far left, that's my HOD, Head of Department, Chris Spanis. I owe him my gratitude for actually hiring me on this job in order for me to actually have a great experience with production and meeting a lot of interesting people. The rest of my team are also full of fun, interesting, and great personalities. I thoroughly did enjoy my experience working in the extras department. And here's our entire department showing off our team spirit by wearing our department jacket and taking a group photo on set. Here's Lonnie, one of the directors for Warrior since season 1. He's a great guy, very friendly, very fun to work with, highly creative, with great attention to detail. It was a privilege to be able to work under him. And here's our director showing off his fun side by dressing up as a hot boy during our Halloween costume contest. Here's another director, Dustin, also a very great guy, very fun to work with, very humble and highly artistic. In fact, all the directors that I worked with on Warrior have all been very friendly and easy to work with. Dustin is the one that requested the translation of the Chinese opera lyric, which just shows you how much he cares about detail and how much he wants to get the Chinese culture as correct as possible. And here's Brad Chen, head of stunt department and action director for Warrior since season 1. He's also a director for Warrior season 3. He's highly impressive and experienced at what he does, and his stunt team was involved in countless productions all around the world, the latest being Tim Burton's show Wednesday. I learned a lot working as a stuntee under him, and his motto of just don't suck would always stay with me, and I'm definitely looking forward to future opportunities to work with him. And here's the one and only Shannon Lee, daughter of Bruce Lee and the executive producer on the show. She's very friendly and she really cares a lot about the show and her father's legacy. And here's Diane, who plays Mai Ling since season 1. She's a very impressive actress. Every time I see her work live on set, her acting skill has always been very, very inspiring and impressive to me. And here's Olivia Chang, who plays a toy since season 1. Also a great actress, extremely talented at her job. And I've also seen her in other series and productions, such as Marco Polo, as well as the Apple original called C. A very solid actress all around. And here's Chelsea, a new addition to the Warrior family, a very fun character and a great actress. I'm not an actor myself, but watching these professionals bring the script to life, especially those emotional scenes, has always been very impressive to me. And here's the star of the show, Andrew Koji, who plays a son. He's one of the most prominent Asian rising stars in the industry. He has been in movies such as Storm Shadow in Snake Eye, as well as the father in Brad Pitt's latest movie, The Bullet Train. On the surface, he's a man of very few words and doesn't look very approachable. But due to my role, which is essentially in the same gang as him, I had a lot of interaction with him on set. And once you get to know him, he's actually a very fun character, as you can see from all the interesting photos that he likes to take, which just shows you that he doesn't take himself too seriously. He's also quite a deep thinker, very artistic, and takes his craft very seriously, which you can clearly see if you compare his action scene from season 1 to season 3. You can see very clear improvement, which just shows how much he trains for the show and how serious he takes his craft. And here's Jason Tobin, who plays Young Jun. I've actually seen him way back since Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. He's a very cool guy, very fun, always cracking jokes on set, and he takes his craft also very seriously. He trains really hard for the role, and his acting is top notch. Always very cool to work with him. And here's Chen, who plays Hong, a very interesting person, very fun to work with, a very good actor, trains really hard for his role. And between him, Andrew, and Jason, they each have the very distinct character's personality, and they really bring the whole gang to life with what they had to bring to the table. He's also one of the only Mandarin-speaking main cast, so occasionally he will also discover language or cultural issues, and we'll discuss together, and then we'll bring it up to production. He's a very cool guy to chat with, whether it's about production or just random things in life. And here's Perry Young, who plays Father Jun. Also a very interesting person, highly skilled actor, and very artistic. I've actually talked to him a lot about fine art, painting, sculpturing. He also has a lot to say about stencil graffitis. He's also a musician. All around interesting artist type character. And here's Joe Taslim, who plays Lee Yong, and perhaps best known for playing Sub-Zero in the latest Mortal Kombat movie. He's a great actor, really cool guy, and a highly skilled martial artist and stuntee. And here is the one and only Mark Dacascos. I was so excited to meet him in person
because I actually grew up watching his movies, such as Only the Strong. And in person, he's very friendly, very humble, very approachable, a great actor, and top-notch martial artist. It was really a privilege to have met him in person through working on Warrior. And the guy in the middle here is Ross, a South Africa stunt coordinator, who also helped me a lot to improve my craft as a stuntee, who always gives me constructive criticism and shows me how to improve for the next take. I owe a lot to him for successfully completing my stunt job. And I will definitely look forward to be working with him in the future. And the guy in the middle here, Stewart, is also a South Africa stunt coordinator who actually helped me prepare for my assessment that landed me the job for stunts. And he also gave me a lot of tips and advices on the day of the shoot. There are also other stunt coordinators such as Johnny and Jason who also gave me a lot of tips and advices during my shoot as a stuntee. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to take a picture with them because when we were actually shooting, we are trying to get the job done rather than hanging around taking pictures with each other. And here's my stunt brother Zing, an exceptional stunt person, a very good martial artist, has worked on a lot of very high profile productions. A great friend and helped me a lot in becoming a better stunt person. And again, I didn't take a picture with every stunt member in the department, but a lot of them has helped me and has become my friend during the course of production, and I'm really grateful to have known them and worked with them. Here are just some prosthetic injuries and blood splatters done by the makeup department, which in my opinion looks really realistic and really cool. And last but not the least, after all, I am the extras coordinator, so I do spend most of my time dealing with extras. Albeit there are some really difficult extras to work with, but there are also some really nice people among the extras that I eventually became friends with, such as horses, chickens, frogs, scarlet macaw, goat, goat, more goat, and even more goat. Nah, I'm just kidding. Of course, animals are great, but this time I also managed to make some genuine human connections. For starters, this white boy who keep photobombing my photo was as Aaron. He also works in the extra department, and it's actually one of the first friends I made in Cape Town and became one of my best friends. And has made my job a lot more fun than it otherwise would be. He also sort of rescued my non-existing social life a little bit. So I'm very happy to have met him. Beside Aaron, I've also met up with some old friends and met a couple of new friends. Albeit I'm very selective when making friends, but I'm very grateful for the few true new friends that I've met and the time that we spent together, and they basically made my staying in Cape Town a lot more pleasant than it otherwise would. And especially when Aaron, Noriko, Iman, and Michael gave me a birthday celebration and farewell on the same day I'm about to leave Cape Town, it was very heartwarming.
Alright, that's about covers it. If there's anything else you wish to know relating to my work experience on Warrior Season 3, you're welcome to leave in a comment below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. And if you're interested in the show, definitely do check it out. Personally, I do think it is a very decent show for the type of budget it has. And I'm not saying this because I worked on it. Even if I didn't, if I work on something but the show wasn't good, I wouldn't tell people it's good. And for this show, even if I didn't work on it, I would still think it's a pretty decent show. Has a very good plotline, the actions are good, the actors are great. Definitely check it out if period kung fu drama is your thing. So lastly, I would like to give a big thanks to all the Patreon supporters that are still supporting me despite the fact that I haven't uploaded any new content in a couple of months.
And a special shout out to my new Patreon supporter, Jervis. Thank you so much for joining my Patreon family. If there are any questions on current content or suggestions for future content, always feel free to message me and I'll definitely get back to you as soon as possible.
Thank you guys so much for your support, even during the time where I was not uploading new content. And for those of you that stopped subscribing due to the lack of content, it is totally understandable. I don't blame you. I do deserve you not supporting me during that period. But now that I am back and I'm going to be making videos on a regular basis again, if you are still interested in my Patreon exclusive content, then do consider to join my subscription again. And for those of my public viewers, if you're interested in in-depth analysis of the 4 fundamental forces, as well as how those forces are applied to each and other internal martial arts, on the more technical aspects, then do consider subscribing to my Patreon support channel. That is all for today. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoy my videos, please do remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching TriEssence Martial Art channel, and I will see you next time.